XS Wireless Digital is the perfect wireless audio solution for content creators and filmmakers. Thanks to a 2.4 GHz transmission, XS Wireless Digital is a truly plug-and-play system that allows you to upgrade your in-camera audio with one-button operation. With a variety of configurations to choose from, this entry point into the world of wireless will improve your workflow and will expand the possibilities of how you capture audio for your video. For more information, visit sennheiser.com/xswd.
Hello everyone, welcome back to ProAV Live, to our weekly little informal Q&A chats. Thank you very much for joining us. Got a couple of things to talk about this week. First one is the spider crabs, which we released a video on only sort of last week. Since then, the actual car mount option has arrived. So this is suction cups, which are completely modular. So the best way to use these is to have 3 of these suction cups held together with 3 of these long arms, nicely spaced apart on a big car. And then there's this little tripod leveling bowl in the middle. So it's a sort of 75mm bowl, but with just loads and loads of locking 1/4-inch threads around it. And then there's this normal sort of quick release option that they have from their fast bowl tripods on it for leveling, which makes it very quick and easy to take the head off, to level, all the rest of it. I mean, CG is already asking, is there such a thing as an affordable car mount? It depends what you mean by affordable. These aren't that much money. Let me have a little look at how much they are. But each individual piece isn't crazy expensive. We actually don't know how much the suction cups are, but each arm, depending on which one you get, can only cost you, you go for the lightweight arms, which you absolutely could do with this setup. You don't need to use the fancy quick release ones. I recommend you do, but you don't need to. They're only £39 ex-VAT for each arm. And as you can see here, I've got this one set up with 2 suction cups and 2 MA locking arms with the head in the middle. And this is on super tight. I could lift up, I'm not going to because I'm going to knock my drinks off the other side, but I could literally lift up this table, if I was strong enough anyway, with this, and it wouldn't budge at all. So these are really quite strong and sturdy, and because they're based around the arms design, this sort of modular spider crab idea that iFootage have got going on, you can use this in so many different ways. You could attach an arm to each thing here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You could have 7 of these crabbing their way around a car or something like that to lock it on. You could have just one. You could have one of these suction cups, and this big one can hold up to 30 kilograms. You could have just one of those with the ball head on the top, and then your camera directly mounted to that. You don't have to have all these arms and all the rest of it. They are very, very modular as to what scale that you want to go with them. So I thought that was absolutely worth showing off. What I've got here is I've got one of their little Komodo K5 heads on top of their leveling bowl. And this works perfectly. It's so sturdy. There's obviously a lot of wobble there, but that's my whole desk that's wobbling, not the arm. They are really robust. So very, very keen on those. If you haven't seen the whole range yet, we have got them on the website, and we released a video on them last week. So these are them. They basically have 3 different styles of arm. They've got the LT arms, which are the affordable options, if you like, which are a much more traditional quick release sort of arm. Sorry, not a quick release arm, much more traditional articulating arm. They just have a screw thread or a cold tube mount on one end, and then this sort of self-twisting on end on the other, so you can just hold your monitor on there and twist it in. Simple as that, but they're very, very well built. They're super strong. Let me hold this up to this camera. You know, I can really, if I lock this down properly, I can really, really move that, and that for a £39 arm is pretty damn good. Really is. And then the one in the middle is the MA arms, which is what these ones are here. So these ones are the MA 3 to 4, which is the short one that I've got, and then the MA 5 to 6, which is the longer one that I've got there. And the joy of these, let me actually take this car mount apart very quickly to show you, is this quick release system. So these are all based around this little sort of quick release nubbin and quick release on there, so that it is as simple as doing that, slotting it in and locking it off like that, and then you can change them. Super, super quick and easy and very robust, and they've got a lot of really intelligent little features for locking your kit in really smoothly, so that it's securely, so that it doesn't accidentally fall out. You know, if this locking knob comes loose, you know, that is still not so with that unlocked, I'm still not able to pull that out. That isn't going anywhere. It's only when I release that clasp and unlock that, actually, because of where it is. If I unlock that, it's still not going anywhere. It's only when I release that clasp on the other side that the whole thing comes out. So they are super secure for your expensive monitors that you're hanging off the top of your camera with them. And then the third option is this long beast. So this is the SA32, and this is more designed for bigger support systems. So it's really useful for sliders, which is why it has a clamp on the end. So that goes around your tripod leg, and then that acts as sort of this cross brace unit, so that you can put that on the end of a slider, so that your tripod's in the middle of the slider, there's a slider going across, and then one of those supporting one end, and then maybe another one supporting the other end. It means that it's just one unit, you haven't got multiple tripods, and you can, but it's nice and secure on both sides. So really great for sliders, really great for the car mount, because obviously on a small little car, just the articulating arms will be fine, but on a bigger car, and you can have, these are great, and because they're so long, you know, you can have one coming off the roof. If you're clamping it onto a side to point through a window, for example, you can have 2 down on the doors at the side and then 1 going along the roof. Because these are so long and they're telescopic as well, you know, you can get quite a long distance for support. And of course, the further apart you can make all of these, the more secure and locked on it's going to be on the car. So these are great for that. They're also just great for, I mean, they're a bit overpriced to buy just for mounting things like lights and mics and stuff like that, but if you're buying them anyway as part of this modular system, you might as well use them to support things like lights and backlights, boom lights into shot around above the top of frame, like a simple mic, booming a boom mic above the frame, anything like that. If you don't have, you don't want to take anything bigger and you're taking this anyway so that you can use it for a car mount at some point, you might as well double up. So yeah, I really like these little spider crab items. I think they are very nifty. Okay, Denver says, let's get on to questions, shall we? Denver says, hello, when I attach my Sigma 18 to 35 and Metabone speed booster to my GH5, it automatically says my focal length is currently set to 35 millimeters, no matter what lens I try to attach using the booster. What would I set the Sigma focal length to? You mean for the image stabilization? Is that what you mean? You would want to set the focal length for which focal length you're actually using on your lens. So really, when you go from 18, you're going to change it to 18, and when you're going to 35, you would go to 35. To to get the best results, you should be changing it for each time you change your focal length. Obviously, that's a bit of a pain and quite slow to do, so lots of people don't necessarily do that. But yeah, technically, that's the way you do it. If you have a lens that isn't going through a speed booster, it will automatically tell the camera what focal length it's at. So if you're doing a native micro four thirds lens and you go from 12 to 35, for example, on the Panasonic one, it will automatically change, and you don't need to manually do anything. Cool. So if anyone else has got any more questions, leave them in the YouTube chat or on Facebook comments, and I can see those as we go and answer them as we go. That's what these streams are for. Let me know what you think of my new looks. My boss bought me a little wooden on air sign for the background, which I think is quite nifty, quite nicely built. So I've redone this little setup here. Let me know what you think. Is that about where it was? Yeah, that'll do. Cool. What else has happened this week? So Zion launched a new crane. So they've got the Weeble S. The Weeble 2, not the Weeble S. The Zion Weeble 2. They've just launched, which looks like a really nifty little gimbal, actually. It's a sort of a mid-range gimbal. The Crane 3 is still their higher-end one for bigger cameras. But for mirrorless cameras, for the A7S, for the Canon R5, GH5, that sort of thing, this is actually a really nice little gimbal. And the main thing that sets it apart from other gimbals on the market is this tiny little screen. So it's got this bit along here at the top. So you see, let me just see if I can show you my cursor. Show mouse. There we go. Can you see? No, you still can't. Yeah, so this sort of underneath this bit here, you see that? That is a folded flat little 2.5-inch display which folds out like this. So that is it there. And that's really useful for checking your settings, controlling your settings. It's really useful for, you can get a little monitor on it so you can see your shot. It's a bit small for that. I would tend to use the back screen of the camera, which would be much less latency and much better quality. But if you really need to, you can put the image from the camera on it. Really, it's great for changing your settings and seeing your settings rather than having a phone strapped down there or something like that. It looks like a nice little design. And what else has happened? So these Canon PTZs are now in. So both the N300 and the N500 PTZs from Canon, if you're interested in PTZs, are now here. I think we've got some in stock. Yes, there we go. We've got some in stock for the little 300s. And I think we've got some of the 500s as well. And we've been playing with them. They are really impressive. The one that is actually filming the close-up on all of these little ones here is the N500, by the way, the bigger one. Literally, we set this up like 5 minutes before we went live on this stream. We just suddenly got everything else set and then went, oh, it'd be quite nice if we had a close-up camera on some of these things. And so just really quickly chucked that out and put it up. And I think it looks great. And, it's got tough competition because this is the C300 Mark II here, which, is a Super 35mm cinema camera that it's trying to cut with. So it's got some really stiff competition. And, it does all right. And it's got full autofocus. So if I go a bit closer, is that picking that up? You sort of can't really tell. Zoom right in, Dan, so that we get a bit shallower. Oh, that's really close, but okay. There we go. And yep, that's found it. So, the autofocus is fantastic. And if I move that even closer, it should stay with it. There we go. It's the same autofocus system that is in their cinema cameras. And for PTZs like this, for things like this, that is really useful. Because what else are we going to do for a close-up camera like that? Are we going to have a camera operator there? Probably not. Okay, questions come in from Trevor. I'm late, but are people aware that the A7R2 is on sale, new for 1,200? That's a superb deal, even as a crash cam. Yeah, great little camera. It's old. It's sort of long in the tooth now, the A7R Mark II, but it's still a great little camera, particularly for high-res stills, which you don't need to react particularly quickly to what you're doing. If that's the sort of still photography you do, A7R Mark II's a fantastic camera. I used to own the A7R Mark II, brilliant camera. There are much better choices now that are only a little bit more money, really, if you need to work very quickly. And so things that take photos a lot faster, autofocus is a lot faster, all the rest of it. But the megapixels per pounds, you know, for the A7R Mark II is absolutely brilliant. And Trevor says he's planning to buy a set of those arms. They look fantastic. I completely agree. Let me know what has convinced you with them. Because I've been so impressed with these. I first found out about them and I was like, oh, that's nice. They don't look like they're doing anything too different from what everyone else is doing. But no brand new ideas, but they look really well designed. Got them in my hands and just suddenly went, hang on, these make a lot of sense. Like, yes, people have done quick release things before. Yes, people have done this little twisty thing before. But having all of them in one place as part of a wider ecosystem of products actually makes a huge amount of sense. These are really nifty little... I mean, yeah, they're just arms at the end of the day. It's not the most exciting product in the world. But we've had a fantastic reception from customers about them. And yeah, everyone we've spoken to about them has been super, super impressed, as am I. I clarified a few things with iFootage, by the way. The little quick release attachments that go in, they're going to put, at the moment, they're not up and available to buy separately, which some people looked at and went, hang on, you can't buy those things separately, but what if you lose them? They are going to sell them separately. It's just that their stock is so tight at the moment with how many of them being bought in the first place. They haven't put them up online yet. But yeah, they are going to be available. So you are going to be able to buy a bunch of this little attachment bit here. Chunk, chunk, chunk. So a bunch of these little things. Let's put those on. So a bunch of these things, which are the bit that twists onto your camera. So this red bit here is a sort of screw, the tallest design, so that is screwing the end as I turn it. This end bit is a 3/8 thread that retracts back to reveal a 1/4 inch thread, so you can put it in either hole, which is really nice. And then these are area locator pins on either side that also retract down, so you can mount it into something like this bowl head here that has anti-twist area locator pins on it, or you can just mount it into something that doesn't, and those will just retract away as you tighten it in, which is really cool. And as you close that, there's 3 holes in the back which line up to pins that are inside this, and they actually mean that once it is in there like that, these don't twist very much, and they can't twist and come unstuck, which is why it is why it is so secure when it's on there. It's really nice. Trevor said, I really like the quick release feature. Yeah, cool. It looks super secure, and when you're dealing with arms, very important. Yeah, absolutely. The mixture of being both fast and secure is brilliant. The registration locator pins and also the auto 1/4 inch /30 connector, so that retractable pin I just showed is lovely. Yeah, completely agree. It's interesting to see which features and to hear which features were the ones that stood out to you. And what do people think of the car mount? Because, of course, I haven't shown this before. And I think this actually makes a huge amount of sense. You can see it in more detail in iFootage's quick release thing. So if I search iFootage spider crabs. If anyone hasn't watched Gerald's video on them, by the way, Gerald's video is great. It's great. This. So as part of this, they stick them on a car. Here we go, this section. So, you can have it a little low profile here. And I think that's a red Komodo fully rigged out on top of that. And that's just using the MA arms. And then they show it around the corner. There we go. Strap pointing through the door with 3 of the larger SA32 arms. And that's an Ursa Mini Pro that's on that. That is a big, heavy camera. And they're not attaching all of them to the base either. They're stopping it wobbling quite so much by attaching onto the top. I think it is very, very smart. And this pump action there, that button pumps in, and that's how you sort of activate the suction on them. I think they are very, very cool. And what's easy to miss just then, when they had that thing, they aren't even using in this setup with the gimbal the tripod leveling plate at all. They're having one arm going into each bit of the gimbal. They've got this sort of extender clamp, maybe a small rig thing for the Zion. Sorry, not the Zion, the DJI. And then they're attaching the arm to one of those on either side, and then they're attaching the arm to the base, the bottom of the gimbal. And so that's 3 points of contact for that gimbal, all in different areas of the gimbal. So that is going to be really quite rock steady and secure on there, which is excellent. And you'll also notice on this one, they've got this little like carabiner clip, which can attach to something and tie it on as like a safety mechanism as well, which I think actually comes with the tripod leveler when you buy that, which is another nice little touch. Trevor says they seem like a good alternative to the Tangerine arms, which I've always wanted, but are just too rich for me, the Titan arms. So I absolutely, the Titan arms are fantastic, and I really like the mechanism on the Titan arm where you can loosen it a little bit and move it. But yeah, look at this. This is the quick release, one of the quick release sets for the Titan arms, and this is nearly £200 in VAT, or 150x VAT, just for the quick release attachments on either end of the arm. That is more than I footage charge for the complete longer arm. And the actual arm itself is, £250 ex VAT. So it is not just a little bit more expensive, it's 4 or 5 times the price of these MA arms. And it's worth it. It's a fantastic piece of kit. I don't want to badmouth the Bright Tangerine Titan arm. It's one of my favourite articulating arms. It's fantastic. And there's also the Matthews one as well, the Infinity arm. It's much simpler, no quick release. It's just screw through on either side. But that thing is so unbelievably strong. You could just hang an Ursa off of it, and just that would work. Very, very strong arm. However, that's also £300 or so with no quick release and features at all. So you're talking about a lot more money. So I think for the value that you get with these image arms, they're built way above their pay grade, if that makes sense. You're getting this sort of quality, but for nowhere near the same amount of price tag. Cool. Not many questions coming in today, so what else can I talk about? This Bird Dog PF120, I don't think I've spoken about this on one of these live streams. So I also made a video on these a couple of days ago. If you're into PTZs and all the rest of it, and particularly if you're already invested in bird dogs, these are well worth being aware of, because PTZs are great, but you often don't need the pan tilt functionality. If we had, for example, an overhead rig on this, just to show a top down of my desk here in front of me, we wouldn't need pan tilt zoom. You also wouldn't want anything too big that could move. You just want something locked in place, nice and lightweight. Something like this is perfect for it. You've got full NDI, all the rest of it. Stuart has got a question saying, can you cut back to the N500 on a wide shot again, please? And is it set to 4K or 1080p? It's a good question. We set it up in about 5 minutes or so. We're in 1080p for the project, so the entire live stream is in 1080p. I think the camera is set to 1080p. Is the camera set to 1080p, Dan, or is that just the project? Because if you check on the device webpage, you'll be able to see what the video format is in the communication IP. I can actually get to it if you don't know where it is. So if I take over, go to system, so it's set to 4K. So the camera is set to 4K. So this set to 4K as a camera source, coming back to 1080p on the timeline resolution. Oh, here we go, side by side. Now, obviously, these I'm sure could be tweaked to match a lot better than this. We also, when we were first testing this, didn't have much delay at all, but now that we're on, we do get a little bit of delay between them. We are using full NDI for the C300 and NDI HX on the N500, so you would expect a little bit more delay, but we weren't seeing quite as much delay as this last time we played about with this. I'm not sure where this delay today has come from. I have seen it be less than this, but yeah, there is at the moment a little bit of delay on it. But overall, I think it does pretty well. Is that what you wanted to see, Stuart? I can show you more about the camera. What, Dan? What are you giving me a boot in the chat for? Yeah, we can show you more. We can show you the UI if you want on it. Then if you set, actually you've got it set there as input 5. You can bring up the device web page. We can show you what the controls are like for the camera if you've got somebody thinking about them. Yeah, I think I really like them. I think the image quality on the N500s and the sensor on them punch way above their weight in terms of PTZs. You know, are they as good as cinema cameras? No, absolutely not. Are they good for PTZs? Yeah, really good. In fact, we've got the Panasonic UE150, which is, you know, top of the line PTZs. They're about nearly 10 grand a camera. You know, much more, probably 8 grand, something like that. They're a lot more expensive. And the Canon's like half the price, and I think looks not quite as good, but nearly there. Okay, cool. So if we cut to this is the control interface. So this is the device webpage, accessing it over a browser, and you get your exposure. What I really like about all of these is that they feel very familiar to somebody that's used to a camcorder. Let me make this full screen so that you can't see the TriCaster interface behind it. So they look very similar to someone who is used to a camcorder. You know, if I put this into manual iris, I can change these as I want to. What else? My shutter is set to auto. That's why. And this, you know, looks very, very familiar to people who are used to cameras and camcorders rather than from an IP. Workflow, you get normal color temperature on there. Your color settings, you get normal Rec 709, YDR, Canon log 3 in there, and you can turn on. I've actually got my noise reduction on. Shouldn't need any noise reduction, so let's turn noise reduction off, and then the image quality might look a bit better. Like I said, we set this up in like 5 minutes before the stream, and focus is really cool as well. So at the moment we're in face detect, so as I turn towards the camera, it sees my face, and then if I turn face detection off, I can focus on something here by clicking, I think. Why is that not doing that? Oh, there we go. Didn't need to be off, I should have been on. And if I zoom in a bit more, you know, I can pull focus between that and then my neck by clicking on what's in shot, which is really cool. And I can also, in the PTZ thing, I've got image stabilizer here. So if this is with image stabilizer off, and I do some banging on the thing, you'll see loads and loads of moving. If I turn powered IS on, do some banging, it does a really good job of stabilizing the image. And in this PTZ mode, I can move and change where the PTZ is pointed just by clicking. So there's my fancy sign in the background. And the old bike is also up here. And then I can zoom all the way out and click to quickly reset back down here like that. So it's pretty cool. It's a really easy to use interface. We're going to do a video going more in depth on it because we have been very impressed with it since we've been playing with it. Okay, Vincent is asking, thank you for your help. My Panasonic UX90 works a treat for your church service. Excellent. Our church has 6 PTZs and they're great. I run iOS and more this coming Sunday for them. What PTZs do you use, Vincent? I'd be interested to know. What brand, what model? Cool. Okay. I think that is it for questions. Let's just see if there's anything else I wanted to cover. Any new products? No, I think that is mainly it for now. So I think let's leave it there, actually. Why not? If anyone does have any comments and you're watching this after the fact, questions, leave them in the chat down below, of course. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you like the products that I've shown, these spider crabs. Let me know what you think of them, and of course if you want to buy any of them at all, head over to proav.co.uk and or just pick up the phone, talk to our sales team, and we'll be able to help you out. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
The new Super 35 sensor that Canon have introduced with the C300 Mark III is quite a big step up from other S35 sensors that they have created before. From the body and the flexibility that gives us in terms of the expansion packs and the interchangeable mount, to the sensor with its increased dynamic range for tackling scenes that possibly we couldn't have tackled or captured faithfully before, I can get more out of this camera. My money goes further. It's as simple as that from a business standpoint. From a creative point of view, it's unquestionably unlocking more creative avenues